a wonderful area to work in because it is so varied and you can make such an impact on someone's quality of life.
And I think that the people who are probably seeking you out are very, very grateful for your knowledge.
Yeah. Well, hopefully. Yeah, hopefully, yeah.
Sho, I was just going to ask you to possibly just tell us how you know Jillian and why you thought that she'd be so amazing to have as a guest on our show, and then we can talk a little bit about what our focus is going to be today, and then we can kind of go from there, Jillian, and learn from what you have to teach. Sho?
Yeah, sure. So I know Jillian through the gym that we both go to. So Jillian also does CrossFit. I do just weightlifting now, but we train together. And I've also used Jillian. I've been a patient of Jillian's. After I had my third baby, Finley, I went to Jillian to, we had was it a 3-week check? I think we had a 3-week check and then we had a 6-week check.
A general check for abdominal wise, and then we had a 6-week follow-up, didn't we?
Yeah, because I had a C-section after having Finley, so I went to see Jillian just at 3 weeks just to see how things were. Just for a general check, and then a really thorough 6-week check where Jillian went through absolutely everything. The full works.
I don't know if we should ask what that means or not.
Jillian knows me very well. Yeah, so we had that after, and that was really, really good because I actually kind of got the all clear to start lifting weights again after that 6-week check, which I would never have thought would be possible after 6 weeks after having a C-section. And obviously it was light dumbbells and things like that. But just having a professional check me over and give me that okay to get started and really, and actually, I mean, I did exercises right after having the section, but it was very, very gentle, and it was like a lot of breathing and pelvic floor and things like that. But it progressed up until 6 weeks, until I was then at the stage where I could actually start picking up weights again. So yeah, I just thought Jillian would be great because I've heard her talk about lots of different things before. We've had many chats about pelvic floor and about double unders and leaking and all that sort of thing. So I thought that our audience would really greatly benefit from Jillian's knowledge.
Right, and I think specifically for our audience, Jillian obviously has such a wide array of expertise, but I think our plan is to focus on stress incontinence today and kind of learn what that is, what affects it, and how that applies to, primarily for us, CrossFit and our active lives. Does that sound like our focus for today? Yeah, Jillian, how would you, if you were just gonna explain for our audience what stress incontinence is, can you give us your definition and what that means and how that sort of applies as we're getting started?
So stress incontinence is obviously when the pressure from your intra-abdominal cavity through various different methods. So it could be just coughing, sneezing, laughing, or simply getting off the couch or getting off the bed, or high impact activity. So it's when that pressure from above, that intra-abdominal pressure from above, is basically superseding the support of the pelvic floor muscles underneath and the sphincters of the bladder. So it's when that pressure from above is just too much for the pressure, for the support mechanism underneath to support that pressure, and therefore we lose urine out through the urethra.
And I'm going to say that I already have learned so much. I think I've never really thought about it too much in detail. And I know that you have some statistics on the studies, but I will say that I've experienced it, and it seems like for women in CrossFit, it seems like the majority, from my perception, that the majority of women have experienced that at some point or another, to some degree or another. Some, very infrequent, and some, it seems like it's a chronic thing that they're constantly trying to battle, or that they have sort of like become worn down and have accepted. So what would you say as far as the percentage? I mean, if I say my percentage seems like it's very high, from your perspective with the numbers.
I mean, mostly the stuff that's out there at the moment are from like surveys, like surveys that have maybe been sent out to, so many women who participate in CrossFit. So, so one particular survey basically reports, it was reported on 452 women. And there's the list of 17 CrossFit exercises within that survey, and the double unders came in at number 2. So there was 36.9% out of those that particular group that reported stress urinary incontinence with double unders. What else? Population postal study. So that was 1,415. Women, so in that study they looked at lots of different incontinence. So the prevalence of urinary incontinence in general was 39.9%, and of that, 1,400 people, stress incontinence was 24%. And another online survey with 322 people reported, so more than 80% of CrossFit participants in that particular study reported urinary incontinence, with half of those reporting moderate to severe leakage. So yeah, it's very common, and you hear it. We hear it in the gym, Shona. We hear it all the time in the gym. You see it online on social media, and you see it. You see people kind of chatting and reporting about it, like through other gyms. So I would say that, yeah, it's.
Can I ask a quick question about I have a question, because double unders is number 2. I would love to know what the number 1 movement was, and maybe the number 3. Like, what were the top 3 movements? I would like to know all 17, but I'll refrain and just ask for the top 3 because I'm so interested.
One, which actually I wasn't. It was jumping rope.
Oh, wow.
So is that just the same thing then?
Yeah, that's
because that was the first one that came up in the study, and then double unders.
Well, I guess that would just be single unders, really, wouldn't it?
Like, or any jumping, all encompassing, single. Maybe it's like any jumping, and then specifically double unders.
Yeah. And then running, jogging came up, and then box jumps. So that was kind of like the top ones.
And
Jillian, actually, I was going to say, Jillian, you have some interest in information on why double unders are so high.
So the kind of like the thought behind why there's an increase in leakage with that particular movement is because of the the bilateral feet bouncing on the floor. So it's just given that little bit more ground reaction force, which is more than like hopping from like single leg to single leg. I think that there's a rigidity with double unders, where you're keeping your body, like rigid in the midline. So therefore, like your kind of intra-abdominal pressure is just getting squished in the middle. So if you think about a balloon, like if you squeeze the top of the balloon, you're going to get all that sort of pressure bearing down into the pelvic floor. So that's another reason that people hold themselves quite stiff in their midline. And also, like if people are actually associate leakage with double unders, then the first thing that they'll do is, if they feel that they're going to leak, they'll pull their pelvic floor muscle in, and they'll draw their tummy muscles in to try and prevent the leakage from happening. So basically what they're doing is they're creating this cylinder, which is just getting compressed and squashed, and it just makes your leakage even worse. So it doesn't actually prevent the leakage from happening. It would actually make it worse in that respect. So those are probably the main things from a double under point of view, that the reason why they're so high, like high risk for urine incontinence.
Sure. Yeah. So there's a few like compounding factors. So the pressure is already what can create the incontinence to begin with, and then the double under seems to have like an increased pressure inherently. plus the tension of being nervous about having it happen makes you even more tense and creates even more pressure. But there was something that you said that I had never heard before, and that was about jumping off of both feet. So can I ask a question about that?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so if you were jumping rope